Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Obviously, everyone's already seen it on the news and it's trending all over social media, but the whole Israel-Palestine thing and the terrorist apartheid state that has been getting away with their murder. Now, what a lot of people don't want to talk about is why the evangelical Christians are pro-Israel and they're supporting it. The people don't know this, but Israel, the main government that funds Israel is the USA, is America. And the people that support America funding Israel the most are the evangelical Christians. Now, why are they so pro-Israel? Even though there's Christians in places like Bethlehem where their houses are getting stolen and their churches are being attacked, why are they still pro-Israel? Well, it's because in the evangelical Christian belief is Jesus isn't going to come back until all the Jews are in the Holy Land. Then he's going to come down and kill them all. So basically what they believe, they're setting the Jews up for their death. And they're basically forcing them there. And they don't care whoever gets in their way, even if it's their Christian brothers and sisters. So their houses are getting burnt down, they're getting bombed, they're getting basically destroyed, and they don't care. They're funding their own brothers and sisters being bombed. Now, I just want Maheer to give a piece on this. I just want Maheer to do that.
Yeah, so you can see like how corrupt it is, this state, because they're getting funded by people. Like, how low do you have to be to accept money from someone who wants you dead? You're accepting the funding from a people who want you there, so then their Messiah, the Jesus, can come and kill them. Like, how low do you have to be? How disgusting is that? A state that is funded by cowards like that, who they're funding you so that they can come and kill you later. That is disgusting and it's appalling, and just show how low these terrorist Zionists are. They are. You want to speak?
Are you sure? Cool. And also, I just want to really get out there to whoever's pro-Palestine, whether you're Muslim, Christian, whatever you are, don't ever think that your voices aren't heard. Trust me, social media is a powerful thing, and it's growing more and more, and the news outlets are dying. And the view is shifting now. Everyone now is becoming more and more pro-Palestine. We've got record numbers, just in here in London, 200,000 pro-Palestinian protests. Same in Chicago, in Australia, all over the world. We've seen it in Somalia, Pakistan, I've seen one in Bangladesh, Kuwait, all over the world. They're pro-Palestine. Don't ever think your voices aren't heard. We keep pushing it, we're going to keep pushing. And something's got to give at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay to ask.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you, what do you think the Palestinian people, as now, let's say they are Palestinian people, they recognize as Palestinian people, so what do you think Palestinian people stand for?
Obviously, they stand for counter-terrorism, really. That's really what they're doing. They're standing up against this.
So the affiliation between Palestine and Hamas, Hamas is recognized as a terrorist state by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Only the news, right?
Only the news.
So it's the propaganda
Biased fake news.
Okay, people can recognize it. Even though they haven't probably killed as much civilians as maybe the Israel state itself.
Yeah.
People can recognize Hamas as a terrorist state because they have maybe killed a child.
Yeah.
That's their reason, right?
Yeah.
So
when do you condemn that?
I'm not speaking about the terror side, I'm not speaking about the army, I'm speaking about the civilians of Palestine. What do they stand for?
1 second. Why should they be considered a terrorist state, Hamas? I mean,
arguably, their argument is that they've killed a child. I'm not saying that they are.
Okay, but
they've killed a child or a woman, an innocent soul.
Okay,
so
but
that is let's say that's the definition of terror. I'm not trying to address Hamas. I don't want to address them. I'm saying the civilians of Palestine, what do they stand for?
go on, tell him.
Obviously, the civilians of Palestine, they support anyone who's really supporting them reclaiming their homeland. Now everyone's saying we're not terrorists, we don't want to attack them, but they're not doing anything about it. These guys all, and really, what it is defensive, because these guys who are, and they've done DNA tests on these so-called Israelites who are in Palestine right now. They're all of European origin. It's literally colonialism 2.0. These white Jews have come in, colonized their land, and now and dragged them out of their houses, bombed their children, and now you're blaming a poor guy for firing a missile back.
Wait, once again, can I just say this thing about the Palestinian people? What do they represent? They don't. Yeah, the civilians. They don't do any acts of terrorism. All they're doing is throwing stones at people who have come and at police who have come. They've taken their lands. They constantly, harass them on the streets. You've seen the checkpoints. You've seen the clips of what they've done. 800,000 people were exiled in 1948, May 13 or May 14. I can't remember the date. 800,000 Palestinians were exiled. Why shouldn't they resist? But they're not, getting guns and shooting them. They're throwing stones, and that's all they have. And in return, what's happening? They're getting shot in the head. Innocent children are getting shot in the head for protesting.
Are they soldiers? No, they're not.
They're not trained. They're not trained by Hamas or something. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No,
I just want to say.
Innocent people.
So what about the civilians of Israel?
No, I just want to say the Palestinian. Let me just finish about the Palestinian people. The Palestinian people, they don't represent terrorism.
Do they know that they're part of a movement?
Yeah.
That is a Zionist movement.
Yeah, I think there was. Have you heard of the Have you heard of the Joe Rogan podcast? You could just search it up. There was a woman that went on there. She showed a video. I think she's a Jew. I'm not sure. She went into Israel and asked the people, "What's your thoughts on the Arabs? What's your thoughts on?" Openly, they said we need to shoot them in the head. We need to kill them. I can show you videos of children from the age of 2 years old, 3 years old. From my phone, I can show you. They're being indoctrinated. The Arabs, when the Messiah comes, they're gonna be slaves. To be honest, the way 90% of sound people see it is Hamas. Hamas, what they're doing is a defensive war. And according to international law, collateral damage is so. Say for example, I fire a missile, and a civilian gets killed. And under international law, that's accepted at times of war. And they say there's nothing we can do at times of war. And Hamas,
Who stands for that? But that's the fact of life. Whoever accepts that is a terror.
Hamas didn't write these laws. They're simply following the laws.
That's a fact of life.
Yeah, it's a fact of life.
But one thing they're not doing is they're targeting Israeli civilians.
They're not targeting civilians.
You can't acknowledge that war, or let's say me and you, sorry brother, me and you had a one-on-one. Why should someone else get hurt?
Yeah. What I'm telling you is this is the reality of life. This is how war works. You can't stop it. When a country goes, what country are you from, for example? What country are you from? You're Algerian. So let's just say at the time of the Sahaba, when they came and took over Algeria, I guarantee you when there were Christians there, some Christian got killed in the collateral.
When the army collect itself and take itself to, I think prehistorically it was much more common than now. They would collect themselves and take themselves to a terrain.
Yeah.
And the other side
outside
will do the same, and they will fight.
Yeah.
As armies are
wars
armies,
change.
no civilians.
Yes.
This is the evolution.
This is good. But this is how it used to work before.
So I'm saying, you said someone or a party or cooperation, they acknowledge the fact that during war, civilians or innocent people that don't want to take part get hurt.
Yeah, I get you.
And I see that as terror. To be honest, I see anyone.
But this is.
I'll let him finish.
Oh yeah, I'll answer that. I'll answer that,
so
and I'll answer your question.
crusade.
First, let me answer yours, then I'll answer yours.
because I don't think there was no question.
No, because what you were saying is about the war. I just
didn't
want
have a question.
to.
I'm
No, but
gonna
let me.
give you-
Okay, go on.
He's
Ask the question.
He's making a statement.
Sorry,
I'm trying to
sorry, bro.
wait.
No.
No, keep the mic.
Yeah, I'll get to you. I promise I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll get to that. I'll get to it.
Yeah. So what is the ultimate aim?
Oh, is it one that?
Israel right now?
Of Israel.
What
You know what
the
Israel-
ultimate aim from what it looks like is they just want to ethnically cleanse every single Palestinian from there, and they want to establish an Israeli state. Because listen, one could argue that they want to let Palestinians live under Israeli state, but that's not what it looks like.
That's what's happening at the moment.
But not 30 minutes down the line, that might not be the case.
How I see it, and
I'm saying-
tell me if you disagree or disagree.
Yeah.
So crusades have been happening for a long time now, very long time now, millenniums really. And when Christians come to Jerusalem and they fight and so take over the land, there was objective of settling in the land. Right? Zionism now has created Israel with a different objective than just settling. They're targeting Al-Aqsa.
Of course.
They're targeting Al-Aqsa. And why Aqsa? Because Aqsa is a history of Jews, Christians, Arabs, Romans, all different kinds of people coming to one place. And I think the objective of Zionism, answering this question, is now
Yeah.
is to take down Al-Aqsa and to still carry on their manipulation of religion and history.
Yeah, I just want to add one last thing. The Israeli flag, where it actually represents, you know, the two lines, the blue line, the blue line at the bottom, then the star in the middle. The blue line at the top represents the Euphrates River. The blue line at the bottom represents the river Nile. And why? Because in the Bible, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he's promised that his children are going to go from the Euphrates all the way down to the Nile. What their idea is, they're not going to stop at Al-Aqsa, bro. They're going to ethnically cleanse the people. They're going to destroy Al-Aqsa. Then they won't stop until they go all the way from Iraq to Misr. This is their agenda, bro.
This is the Zionist agenda, but I think Israel's agenda is different from Zionist agenda.
Israel's run by Zionists.
Right,
What
that's
is
correct,
run?
but I think the function of Israel comes from Zionism.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means
That means
They're
they can
two
get
in,
disbanded
they're hand in
after
hand.
they
Bro.
finish
They
their
go
function.
hand in hand.
But the Zionism will carry on after
Yeah,
Israel.
because it's a
finish.
political movement.
Yeah, that is true. But I'm telling you,
It's not a religious movement.
Yeah, it's not.
Movement.
Arguably, it's religious manipulation.
Okay, no.
It's a movement,
What
but in a
does Zionism mean?
I'm sorry.
The Zionism is the call for an independent Jewish state in Israel. It's a political movement. To call for a state is not religious.
Zionism has so many different definitions, right?
Can I ask you a question? You said you're Algerian.
Yes, bro.
Okay, so how would you compare how you dealt with the French? Was it in the correct way? Would you say?
I would say the way we dealt with the French, arguably, yes, was a correct way.
Okay, could you just give us the gist of how the Algerians kind of liberated themselves from the French without any violence? Because there had to be violence.
involved. There was
it's
violence
close.
involved.
There you go.
There was violence involved. Yeah.
Okay,
So now you're telling Hamas they're doing the
But
same thing.
it was from a defensive stance.
That's exactly what Hamas is doing, bro.
Alright, I
Okay.
Their
understand.
land has come.
Okay.
Wait.
But I'm saying right now, yeah, Hamas, yeah, is seen as a terror group, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a terror group,
Yeah.
but arguably someone can say they've killed a child, they're a terror group.
Yeah.
Does that work in the favor of the Palestinian people? It doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't. But what I'm telling you,
when Hamas does that, they don't do anyone any favor.
they don't do it. They're not doing it out of spite. Hamas is just a group of people coming together whose homes have been stolen, whose wives have been raped, and their houses have been stolen, and they're just coming together and say, "Yo, we need to push these guys back." That's really the truth.
And they have
It's
more
not-
reason than anybody in the whole wide world to do
And
that.
look at it,
They
like,
dealt with
you
it.
can't-
Yeah, that I don't even know the answer.
No, they're not.
Thank you. Do you just want to give your piece?
Do you wanna say it? You wanna come in and say it?
You might have an answer for this, yeah?
They're freedom fighters.
They are freedom fighters.
The difference between them,
They are freedom fighters.
Yeah.
I understand that. So why do they let their civilians go in front? Is it to protect themselves?
they don't. Gaza's a concentration camp.
Happening. Because I think it's more that
I'm not saying the civilians they're not aware and they don't want to. They are part of it, just like the Israeli civilians.
don't think they are
part of
the-
it.
No, they're not. The difference is that, for example, we've got all these people in the park. Let's say if there's one member of Hamas over there, the Israeli government uses them. Basically, the name Hamas.
Yeah, so
They,
it's not
they're
working
originally
in the favour.
they're targeting the people at the end of the day because it's a concentration camp, it's an open air prison. If you're gonna drop a bomb here, let's say for example, if there's one Hamas member here and you're dropping bombs indiscriminately, how many people are you gonna kill?
You're
That's
gonna kill
right.
Yes.
So Hamas is not working in the favor of the Palestinians right now. Because
No,
of
they-
this idea
no, they-
that
they are,
they
they
can
are.
target Hamas, but take down a civilian. while
It's
trying
called
to-
freedom fighting. Like if you go to Ireland and you say to them like, or IRAs,
Why would Hamas be on the front line instead of now why they're at the back line?
The thing is,
No, they are
because
the front line.
To the front line, they'll be obliterated in 2 seconds.
the thing is,
These
these
guys
are
are one
fighting
of the
for freedom.
richest.
So is it a war strategy? Is it a tactic?
It's called. Wait.
it's not a war.
I'm not
It's
saying
not a
I'm
war.
in favor of anyone right
Okay,
now.
but this is
I'm
not a
speaking
war
about-
where we hit them and they hit us back. I mean, end of the day, they're doing it by purpose. I'm saying like they're not following rules of engagement. There is no rules of engagement, so it's very hard to play fair with someone that's not playing fair. So it may seem that we're doing the wrong thing back to them, but they are
How do you
doing.
expect to
Like,
basically?
a rocket who hit that woman, that Israeli woman who was saying she's scared of her son's friend's dog. A rocket that hits her son's friend's dog, and in retaliation you go and kill 60 children.
How does that make sense?
But yeah, but you didn't. You go.
Bro,
and kill
what
that
I'm telling
children
you
and then
is
you
what
go and kill
Hamas
children.
is doing
Come on.
is simply a revolution, really. We've had this in Africa, bro. You're from Algeria, I'm from Somalia. The reality is, the way we liberated ourselves is exactly what Hamas is doing right now. Literally exactly what it is. So we can't really.
I just question
It's
their
not a war.
current
The
tactics.
thing is,
Maybe when they kill others, maybe it's not. You know.
I question their current.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm not
The,
there.
the tactics, no.
A tit for tat.
I understand that, but it's a form of guerrilla warfare where you have to hide in places where the opposition is going to struggle. If I come outside and say, "Hey, shoot me in the head," that's not going to make sense, is it?
No, they are leaning towards
So
the guerrilla war.
So they have to do guerrilla warfare. They don't have a choice.
They've got nothing left. For
They've
70
got
years now it's been happening. What
Yeah.
also they went to
Only
do?
Israel. It's actually a multitude of countries funding Israel. Like, you know, we're all believe in a myth that
And people,
it's Israel. That's
not
only
just
them.
money, it's
Yeah.
people as well. Because they're taking Jews that have lived here in Europe and in Africa, and they take them and they put them in Israel. So
Yes,
they're
just to
funding
fill
of
up the-
people
yeah.
and funding of money.
Yes.
Which is where the arms come into it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes, the
that
favour for
funding
favour.
is now what's made Israel. And Israel's, even if Israel dies, Zionism is not going to die just with Israel's disintegration.
Yeah, it's gonna move
It's
somewhere
gonna
else.
carry on,
Not just that.
And they will put everything until the function of Israel is done.
Not just that.
It's not only like when us Muslims, when we look at the situation, we think it's Jewish people. Zionism is Jewish. The thing is the majority of them are Christians, fundamentalists.
Yeah, we started off
Who,
talking about that.
the Israelis want to know, like, basically the thing is with the Israelis is that the Americans, they want Jesus to come back and kill all the Jews. It's not Muslims that want this, it's the Christians that want this. Majority of them are, because when it comes to their fundamental beliefs, they don't have any, they just have belief in Jesus died for our sins, and basically that, you know, they want Jesus to come. Basically it revolves around the return of Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus is only going to return when all the Jews are in Palestine. When he's in Palestine, he's going to come down and kill them all. So that
That's what they want.
To their
That's-
death,
yeah.
basically.
That's why the
Yeah.
evangelicals.
They're getting
That's why
we
they're
talked about
spawned.
this at the beginning.
That's exactly why they
It's
evangelize.
exactly because they.
Alright, Frankie, I hope you picked up some things.
Yeah, and thank you. It's a good discussion. Yeah.
Thank you, yeah. Hamid is the name, yeah.
Maheer.
Zakariya.
You can find it if you want. It's called Islam is Peace.
Islam is peace.
Islam is Peace. Yeah. Black with white logo, and that's it. Yeah.
No problem. Do you want any last words for the camera?
No,
Yeah, so guys, you want to finish
Oh,
it
do you
off?
want to give them
I'll just like finish it off. So you can see, guys, that we had a good discussion. We can see that it's not fair with this, the Israel and Palestine. You know, the Hamas, they fire, like I said, you go and shoot, you go and fire a rocket at a woman's son's friend's dog, and in retaliation, you go and kill 60 children and go and evict people. What is this? To make such an argument, you can no longer use the argument of Hamas. You can't use it. Smile to Zishan, he was saying the same thing. You cannot use this argument about Hamas anymore. It's not valid. It is not valid. This argument of Hamas is stupid. You cannot justify the killing of innocent men, women, and children through what Hamas has done. You say anything also?
And also, what you need to understand is, when Hamas fires a rocket, they're not aiming at civilians. This is what people are misconceiving. They're trying to hit military bases, tactical areas. That makes sense. Israel's targeting literally the biggest apartment complex in Gaza right now.
Buildings they're breaking down. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
man.
no, and what was in that
Don't
apartment
say that
complex?
on
No,
Hamas.
I want to ask you, what was in that apartment complex? Do you know? The Al Jazeera news team.
Oh, the AP and Al Jazeera.
Exactly. So they're trying to destroy any semblance of anti-Zionist news inside Gaza that's showing frontline what's happening. They're losing.
Control the narrative, so keep speaking out.
Keep pushing
sharing
it.
your progress,
Keep
because
pushing.
your voice does matter. Every single. You might think, oh, it's just I'm one person. No, everybody's else doing it. If I don't do it, nothing.
If we get together,
Allah
yeah.
isn't gonna ask about all the other million people. He's gonna ask about exactly
Exactly.
what you done. So you can say, yes, I shared the post. I don't know about the others. I signed the petitions. I don't know what the others did. Allah's not gonna ask. You signed the petition. What did they do? He's gonna ask about what you did on the judgment. So keep doing what you're doing, and one day the Palestinian people will be free. Assalamu alaikum.
Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.